أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jazakumullah everyone that's here for being on time. We will begin our class with our opening prayer. So I'll give the mic to L219. Assalamu alaikum, L219.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please recite the opening prayer for us?
Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب علمني ما هو خير عندك.
And the second prayer as well, please.
ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم.
Jazakallah. Just one point over here with the lam mushaddad, if you can just put a bit more stress on there when reciting. So if you read it one more time.
رب علمني ما هو خير عندك.
If you try one more time, Rabbi allimni.
All right. Rabbi alimni.
Allimni.
Allim. All right. Rabbi alimni.
Perfect. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. And could you read the translations of both?
Yeah. Oh my Lord, teach me what is best for me in your knowledge, Tazkira. Our Lord, accept from us, for you are all hearing, all knowing. Al-Baqarah 128.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much, L219. I'm just going to let two students know of their ID. Okay, so we are just going to start the lesson first of all by finishing off listening to the recitation which we had last week. So if we finish off that, and then we will move to our surah, which we'll be focusing on in today's lesson. Just a reminder, please have your unique IDs in your screen name, so no personal names, please. So let me play, I believe it was L235, which we listened to last week. And I think there are a few verses left just to go through. So we will be starting from وَلَقَدْ
وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إلى النور وذكرهم بأيام الله إن في ذلك.
So if we just go back to this lam over here, it sounded a little bit thick, so we just have to remember our rule of lam al-jalala, where the lam mushaddad which appears in the word Allah, if the lam mushaddad is preceded by the kasra stroke, we're going to read it that lam thin, so it will be bi ayyamillahi. So rather than millahi, bi ayyamillah. Inna over here, the stress on the noon was good. because this is a noon mushaddad, but in doing that, the fatha stroke was prolonged a little bit more than 1 second. So we just have to be mindful of the timing that we give to that. So inna, we don't want to prolong that anymore. Yes, we want to stress it because of the shadda, but we don't want to actually prolong the stroke. So just be wary of the time that you give to the strokes. If we carry on. So over here, there was a bit of a break in the breath in this word over here, sabbarin. So it was sabba and then rin. So just again, if your breath does break, just try at least to read the word that you're on in full, and then continue, because when it comes to pausing in verses, there is some understanding of meaning required. So it's not always possible to know exactly where to pause, but if your breath does break during recitation, at least try to finish that the word that you're reading in full. So don't break your breath in the middle of the word. So likulli sabbarin shakur. So the lam mushaddad can be a little bit thicker, ni'matallahi. So because this time lam mushaddad in Allah is preceded by a fatha stroke, we are going to read this lam mushaddad thick. So just slightly thicker, ni'matallahi rather than ni'matallahi. Ni'matallahi alaykum. I'm just going to take it back slightly. So the time on the kum over here, the mim sakin, it was a little bit more than is necessary, and that sometimes happens, especially when you're reading in tune. Sometimes you give more time than is necessary on a particular word. So should just be very simply yasumunakum su al-adhabi. So just literally 1 second on the mim sakin. There is no need for prolongation here. Just over here with the ha, again, it's a little bit tricky to produce from your throat, but it's a sharp ha, and we want to differentiate it with the softer ha. If I can see an example over here, let's have a look. So for example, over here, ba'dihin, the ha here is just a very soft and easy ha to produce. This one over here, yudhabbihuna, so ha is a lot sharper over here. So again, it's a subtle difference, but it is important, especially as you move towards the more advanced rules, to really try to make that differentiation between ha, yudhabbihuna, and ba'dihim, simple ha over here. So again, the meme was just a tiny bit too long. Again, I guess that's due to the way of the tune. So just be mindful of the timing. Abna'akum wa yastahyuna. So we don't want more than 1 second on that meme sakin over there. Just a point on the rather than read it as dhalikum, which would make it thick, dhalikum. So have your face in a like a smiling manner, dhalikum, because when we read it as dha, it can sometimes be confused as this letter over here, which is a thick letter, azim. So dhalikum rather than dhalikum. Again, it's a subtle difference, but it does make a difference to your recitation. Okay, so Jazakumullah to L235 for sending in your recording. That was a very thoughtful recitation. I can see that she was taking her time in making sure that she's paying attention to all of the rules. There were small points which I did pick up, and obviously because mashallah you're all on this course, we have higher expectations in your recitation, so even the small points which are highlighted, they are there for your benefit, and they will definitely help in improving your recitation overall. So with that, we will continue with our focal surah, and if we do get time, we will try to listen to one more recording towards the end of the lesson. So today's lesson is going to be focusing on our third verse in this course. So if you remember, last week and the week before, we've been looking at two separate surahs, sorry, not surahs, but verses, which are particularly important from the perspective of tabligh. So they are significant verses which have a deeper meaning, which play a big role in tabligh. So as mentioned in the previous sessions, the first point that we're focusing on is reading these verses with correct recitation. After that, it's the memorization, and the third step after that is for you to go away and study the meaning and understand the meaning further. So before we do progress, I'm going to do something slightly different in this session. So I will be appointing a co-host. So that person will basically be in charge of controlling the microphone. So I will pick at random, and I will give the mic to L217. Assalamu alaikum, L217.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to make you a co-host. So now you will have control over the microphones of myself and also everyone else that's in the classroom. So you'll notice that if you hover on one of the names in the participant box, you can now mute and unmute a particular person. So what your responsibility in this lesson will be, when I ask for somebody to recite, if you can pick at random somebody from the list, you just have to unmute them. And when they are finished, you can mute them again. And if you just write down in this lesson who you've given the microphone to, okay?
All right.
Okay,
just the ID number.
Yes, just ID number, yeah.
All right.
Okay, Jazakallah. So L217, I'll just make a note that you have been the class assistant today. And later on when the lesson is over, if you can just post all of the IDs that were given the microphone in the WhatsApp group that we have. Okay, so we are looking at chapter 33, Surah Al-Ahzab, verse number 22. So if I again just go and read through the meaning so we have an idea of the context of the verse. So the translation is, verily you have in the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam an excellent model for him who fears Allah on the last day and who remembers Allah much. So we are going to be looking at the correct recitation of this particular verse, and then we will have a go at reciting it in full, inshallah, with the correct rules of recitation. So if we start with the very first part of the verse, so again it's been split up so we can look at each part in more detail. So if we begin with the very start, we have very simply, again, if you haven't been present in the classes, or just as a reminder, our basic rules, which everyone should really try to master, are those that are highlighted in red, and those that are in green are our more advanced rules, which we are learning about in these online classes. So the very first letter we have is Lam, which is carrying the stroke of Fatha. This is a short vowel stroke, so we just have to remember this is 1 second. So that's the first basic rule over here. Then following that, we have the letter qaf. Qaf over here, the box indicates that there needs to be a difference in the articulation of qaf, which is thick and round, and kaf. So kaf is thin, it's simpler in pronunciation. Qaf takes a little bit more effort to produce that sound, but it's just important to make that difference. So this will be laqad, not laqad, because that sometimes when you articulate the letter wrongly, it can have an impact on the meaning. So it's important that we try to read the letter as it was meant to be sounded. So laqad. So your mouth should be rounded when you're reading this letter over here. Following this, we have our advanced rule is in green. And we remember from previous lessons, we have our qalqala letters, qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So when they carry the sukoon, either in the middle of a word or the end of the word, we have to produce a slight jerking sound. So we have to vibrate that letter very slightly. So we'll read this as laqad, laqad. So not as laqad, but laqad. The dal is slightly vibrated when you land on that letter. After this, we have kana. So we have kaf attached to alif, which is going to be, again, this will be 2-second elongation. This is what we call simple elongation, madd asli. So this is kana. Noon, we see it's just a basic stroke of fatha, and this is going to be 1 second short vowel stroke. So altogether 2 seconds, 1 second. Laqad kana. La over here again carries the short vowel stroke of fatha. This is 1 second. And over here lakum. So we have mim sakin over here. And as I mentioned in the recording, to not prolong this mim sakin, there will be no elongation over here. So just be mindful of that because it can be prolonged when reciting in tune sometimes. So just being mindful of the timing. So لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ. Then we have over here fa attached to ya madda. This again is our simple elongation, 2 seconds, madda asli. So this is fi. Ra is in green to indicate this is our advanced rule, which we covered in lesson number 1, which is our thick letter when it takes the fatha stroke. And after this, we have our basic rule, waw madda, again, simple elongation, madda asli. So fi and su, they are going to be 2 seconds elongation each, so they should be the same amount of time. So if we move on to the end and then we will read this section all together. So following this, fi rasuli, lam over here carries the stroke of kasra, and whenever we think about recitation, we always have to look ahead and anticipate which rules are going to be coming up so we can plan for them. So we know that lam over here is joining with lam mushaddad in the word Allah. If we go back to our lesson number 4, part 2, I think it was, yeah. If you remember in the word Allah, when we have the lam mushaddad, if the lam is preceded by a fatha or damma, the lam will be thick. If it's preceded by kasra, it's going to be thin. So this will be rasulillahi. So not lillahi, because it's a kasra stroke coming before the lam mushaddad, rasulillahi. So lam al-jalala with a thin sound. So if I recite this in total, and then I will ask the co-host to select a few students to recite. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله. So I'm just making a pause over here, just because we're going to stop at this. So this ha will take a sukoon when pausing. So again. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله. So if I can ask L217, you can give the microphone to anybody that's present in the classroom at the moment. You will have to unmute yourself first, and then you can announce who you're going to give the microphone to.
Yeah, I have L224.
Okay. And if you just hover over their name and click unmute, perfect. Yep. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum L224.
Walaikum salam.
Could you have a go at reciting this in light of the rules we've just discussed?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله.
Just make the fee a bit longer to match the time you gave to Sul. So, في رسول
في رسول الله.
Okay, great. And if you read one more time from the beginning.
Okay. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله.
Okay. With lam over here, we don't make it a thick lam, so just laqad. Laqad.
لقد.
Laqad.
Okay.
Okay. And also the other point was if you just make the ra a little bit thicker, fi rasulillah. Okay.
Okay.
So read one more time from here.
Okay. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله.
Brilliant. That's great. Jazakumullah. Thank you, L224. L217, could you please select another student?
Yes. Can 225 L225 please?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. L225.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Would you like to have a go at reading as well?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله.
Just make ra a little bit thicker. في رسول الله.
في رسول الله.
Okay, that's great. Jazakumullah. Thank you. And if we have one more person, please, L217.
Yes. L234.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Can you recite the verse below?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله.
Excellent. Jazakumullah. That was really well done. Thank you very much. Okay, Jazakumullah to all that recited. So let's move on to the next part of the verse. So again, we have our basic rules and our more advanced rules. So if we start from the very beginning, very simply, alif with dhamma will be joined to sin sakin us. Following this, we have waw, which is highlighted in red to indicate this is our basic rule. We'll just give 1 second to the fatha stroke on the waw. And after this, we have ta marbuta, which is carrying the stroke of tanveen, which is the tanveen of dhamma. So because this is tanveen of dhamma, we call this dhammatain. For tanveen of fatha, we call it fathatain. Tanveen of kasra, we call it kasratain. So this dhammatain, which we see on the ta marbuta, the advanced rule which we're looking at is to make sure that there is no elongation of the tanveen sound. So this means that we have to again look ahead and anticipate what is coming after the tanveen. We see that this is the letter ha. And again, if we go back to our rules, we remember that there are 6 letters which, if they follow nun sakin or tanveen, they will not be read with a nasal sound. It will be a short and clear sound. So, for example, if it's alif hamza ha, ain ha, ghain kha. These are our 6 letters which, if they follow Noon Sakin or Tanveen, the Noon Sakin or Tanveen will be read in a clear and short manner. If there are any other letters aside from these, they will be read with a light nasal sound. So if we go to our verse, we have Tanveen over here followed by Ha. Ha is one of our 6 letters, so this means that the sound of the Tanveen will be clear and short. Uswatun hasanatun. So there's no pausing, no elongation of the Tanveen, just very clearly Uswatun hasanatun. Ha over here is going to be that sharp Ha, so different to the softer Ha. So just try to make that differentiation. So Ha, Sin and Noon, all these carry the Fatha stroke. They will just be 1 second each. Hasanatun. And then after this, again, we have Ta Marbuta, which is carrying the Dammatain. So this time the rule that you have to be mindful of is because this is joining to a Lam Mushaddad, if Tanveen or Noon Sakin are joining to Lam Mushaddad or Ra Mushaddad, this will be what we call complete merging or complete assimilation. And this basically means that the Dammatain here will be completely merged into the Lam Mushaddad, so you won't hear the Tanveen at all. There will be no Ghunna sound at all, no nasal sound. So this will be read as Hasanatul Liman. Tulliman, which means no dammatain heard, so it won't be hasanatun liman, that would be incorrect. Hasanatul liman. So that's the next point to look out for. No tanveen heard in this merging of these letters. We have over here Noon Sakin, and this is going to be read with a light nasal sound. So because Tanveen here was followed by Ha, which is one of our 6 letters, this was read without any elongation, without any Ghunna. Over here this time, Noon Sakin is followed by Kaf, and Kaf is one of the other letters, so it's not any of these, and therefore it's going to be read with a light nasal sound. So Hasanatul liman kana. We are slightly prolonging and we're producing the Ghunna sound. Hasanatul liman kana. It's not an entirely clear noon, it's like a hidden noon, a partial noon. It's a very subtle noon, but it's still there, compared to over here where it's completely clear. So this is going to be a light nasal sound on the Noon Sakin because it's followed by the Kaf. After this, Kaf is joined to Alif Madda. Again, that's our basic elongation, 2 seconds, Madda Asli, Kana. Noon over here is just 1 second because it's just got our Fatha stroke. Kaf over here it's just written here to make sure that it's pronounced thin, because we don't want to confuse it with Qaf, which is our thick letter. So, Hasanatul liman kana, kana. After this, we have our Ra Sakin. And again, if you remember from lesson number 1, Ra, because it's carrying a sukoon and it's preceded by a fatha, even in this case, it will be read with a thick sound, Yarjullaha, Yarjullaha. And then after this, we have Jim with Dhamma. Following Jim, it's joined to a blank Waw. So this Waw over here does not carry any stroke. And for this reason, it is not going to be heard in the recitation. So the instruction here is to omit or delete the sound of Waw here. We have a few blank letters which are not going to be heard in recitation here. So Jim with Dhamma is going to be joined with Lam Mushaddad, which occurs again in the word Allah. So this is our Lam al-Jalala rule coming up again. Because this time the Lam Mushaddad is preceded by a Dhamma stroke, a letter carrying the Dhamma stroke, it's going to be thick on this occasion. So it will be read as Yarjullaha, Jullaha. If we go back to our previous slide, you'll remember that because it was Kasra preceding Lam Mushaddad, it was a thin Lam. But because here we have Dhamma, or if you had a Fatha, then it would be thick Lam. So Yarjullaha. So again, I'll recite it once and we will have a few of you recite as well. Uswatun hasanatun liman kana yarjullaha So over here, remember the emphasis is on the lam mushaddad. We give the stress to this lam. We're not going to be prolonging the ju. It will be jullaha. Uswatun hasanatun liman kana yarjullaha. So if I can request L217, if you can give the microphone to someone different this time who hasn't had it before.
L219.
Okay, I think L219 did the opening prayer, so if you can select somebody different.
Okay. L225.
Okay, I think let me just check with her. She may have recited already. Assalamu alaikum, L225. Have you read already during this lesson?
Yeah, I've recited the first.
Okay, that's okay, no worries. Yeah, so if you choose someone else, to make it easier, if you haven't read already, you can raise your hand. So I think we have
L231.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you have a go at reciting this, please? I think. Sorry, L217. Did you say it was L231 that you unmuted?
Yes.
Okay,
I
think-
unmuted it.
okay. Let me just check. Okay, that should be okay. L231, can you speak now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Uswatun hasanatun liman kana yarjullaha.
Okay, Jazakallah. If you just make the tun tiny bit shorter, so we don't want any extra time here, just a little bit shorter. If you read one more time.
Yeah. Uswatun hasanatun. Sorry. Uswatun hasanatun liman kana yarjullaha.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Can we have one more person, please, L217?
L218.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله.
That was good. Just over here, read it as kana yarjullah.
Kana yarjullah.
Okay, good. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much, L218. So let's move on to the next part of the verse. And this is actually the final section, I think. Yeah. So we have over here waw, which is going to be joined to lam sakin over here. So the alif in the middle will not be heard in recitation. So this will be well. And following this, we have waw leen. So waw and ya sakin, when they are preceded with a letter which carries fatha, we call them leen letters. And this is what we call soft elongation. So the sound of the ya will be blended softly over the waw sakin. So this will be wal yawma. So that's a soft blend over the waw sakin. We have mim, which is going to be joined to lam sakin over here, mim with fatha. So this will be wal yawmal. And following this, the alif over here carries our vertical fatha, which is simple elongation, 2 seconds. And kha is in green because it's one of our thick letters. So if you remember, we had our 7 thick letters at the beginning of the course. We had kha, sad, zad, ghain, ta, qaf, and dha. So these are going to be read in a thick and broad manner. So we have وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَةِ. Ra again is going to be thick when it carries the fatha stroke. وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَةِ. Wa very simply is going to be just 1 second because it carries the fatha stroke. Dhal over here is also going to be 1 second. Gaf also 1 second. Now dhal over here has been put highlighted here because there needs to be a difference in the sound between dhal and za. So the letter za is a very simple Z sound, like you have Z in English. So that's za. And dhal is a softer sound. It's similar to the way that you would read tha, but there is a slight buzz in the sound of the dhal. So it's subtly different to the way that tha is read, but the placement of the tongue on the top two teeth is exactly the same. You can think about words in English like this or therefore. That's the same th sound that you want to be reading for dhal. So you want it different to za. So you read it as وَذَكَرَ. Just for the sake of example, I'll read it with za as well. وَذَكَرَ, وَذَكَرَ. So there's a softer sound with the letter dhal. So وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. The other word which you have to be careful in terms of articulation is kaf. Kaf again is our thin letter. Qaf is our rounded thick letter. So that this will be وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. Ra again is going to be thick with a fatha stroke, and we are looking ahead to see what it joins with. Again, we have the word Allah in this verse, and this is telling us that we need to be mindful of how we pronounce the lam mushaddad in Allah. So because the lam mushaddad is preceded by fatha stroke, this is going to be a thick lam. وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ rather than وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. So fatha or dhamma coming before the lam mushaddad, this is going to be a thick lam. وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. Gaf again, thin letter. Tha over here, as I said, the placement of the tongue on the top two teeth for tha is similar to dha, to dhal, but this is slightly different. So again, if you imagine the words in English, thin, think, thank you, that very soft th sound, it needs to be different to seen. So it's common for us to read this as kasiran, but we just have to be again mindful that this Arabic letter is pronounced in a very specific way. Even though the difference is subtle, it can have an impact on the meaning. So kasiran would be with the seen, kathiran, so tha, like in English, thin, thank you, think, kathiran. Then we have this ya joined to the tha, so this is ya madda, this is maddi asli, 2 second prolongation, kathiran, 2 seconds. Ra over here, if you were to continue reciting and not pausing, then you can read it as kathiran and then carry on reading. Because we are going to make a pause over here, this is what we call perfect pause. We have also reached the end of the verse. This, according to the meaning of what is being recited, this is a good place to stop, to take a breath, and then restart and continue. So because we are going to opt to pause over here, what will happen to this over here, basically one stroke of fatha will be dropped. So this will be simple elongation of 2 seconds. So this fathatain will just be simple fatha followed by alif. This will be read as kathira when pausing. So this will be 2 second simple elongation, and this will be again a thick ra with a fatha stroke. So again, I'll just recite the final part of the verse, and then we will have a few of you recite as well. وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. So one more time. وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. So again, L217, if I can request you to ask a few more Lajna members to recite. Assalamualaikum. Oh, sorry.
L237.
Okay. L237, yeah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Okay, so the 2 points to work on, just dhal, make it a little bit softer. وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ. Can you read just this word? ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ.
ذكر الله
And over here, كَثِيرًا.
كثيرا.
Make it, try to say in English, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. So that soft TH, you want to try and use it in the tha. كَثِيرًا.
كثيرا.
Excellent, good. So, وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا.
وذكر الله كثيرا. كثيرا.
Yeah, brilliant. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. Can I have one more person, please?
T23.
Assalamualaikum.
Can you just confirm your ID? Is it L230?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just change the T to L. I think that
L.
might. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Would you like to have a go at reciting?
Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Okay. Just again with the final tha. كثيرا.
كثيرا.
And also with the ra, it will be read thick. So كثيرا.
كثيرا.
Good. Read it one more time from the beginning.
واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Excellent. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much, L230. Okay, so we will have a go now at reading the whole thing. Just to let you know, because it's a fairly long verse, the recommended place according to the meaning would be either stopping here at uswatun or at hasanatun. So I've just put it as hasanatun for now, and the way that you will read it is you will go back to uswatun hasanatun and then carry on. So you start from here, read up to here, then go back to uswatun, and then you can again make a pause over here after al-akhirah. So once you've made your second pause here, you can just read وَذَكَرَ اللَّهُ كَثِيرًا. There's no need to go back. So just check this beforehand with Hafiz Sab, and his recommended places for pausing is here, restart here, and then read up until al-akhirah, pause here, and then just carry on from وَذَكَرَ. So I'll read it once, and then again, some of you can have a go at reciting. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. So this time if I go to L220, if you'd like to have a go at reciting.
Oh, sure. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. That was really well read. Thank you, L220. Let's have L217. Would you like to have a go at reciting yourself?
Yes, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Just make the kaf a little bit thinner. كثيرا.
كثيرا.
Okay, Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. L218. Assalamu alaikum. L218, would you like to have a go at reciting?
Walaikum Assalam, yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Okay, Jazakallah. So there's 2 points over here again. So with the lam mushaddad, because this is a kasra coming beforehand, we're going to read it as Rasulillahi. Okay, so it's not going to be thick here because it's a kasra. Over here, yes, it will be thick because it's a dhamma coming before, and here as well because it's a fatha coming before the lam mushaddad. But just over here, because it's a kasra, it's going to be fi Rasulillahi. Okay, so that's a thin lam here. And also over here, when you're reading this alif, this is going to be a thin letter. So rather than reading as al-akhira, al-akhira. So when you read that alif, have like a smile on your face. Al-akhira.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to have a go at reading it one more time?
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر.
Just over here, read this part again.
واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا.
Okay, good, that's fine. Jazakumullah. Thank you, L218. Just one point that I wanted to draw attention to is over here as well, we have in Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, we have the word Allah, which is preceded by the kasra stroke on the meme. So even when we're reciting Bismillah, it won't be Bismillahi, so this will not be a thick lam. This is going to be Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So in Bismillah also, this lam is going to be read in a thin manner because it's preceded by kasra. So Jazakumullah, thank you everyone that's had a go at reciting. We have got a few more minutes left, so we will listen to a few more of the recordings that were sent in. So if I just check my list, we have, we should have L240, I think it is. So let's listen to L240's recording. So again, this is from Ruku 1 of Surah Ibrahim. So over here in Anzalnahu, this is our rule regarding, so this is our ikhfa rule. So if you remember, because we have Noon Sakin over here and it's followed by the letter Za, which is not one of the 6 letters. So it's not Alif, Hamza, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. Because it's not any of those, it means that we are going to produce the light nasal sound. So we have za over here. So for example here, yanzi'u, fa'in zalaltum, etc. So if we go back, also over here, because this is the letter za, anzalnahu. So we're going to have the light nasal sound on the nun sakin over here. Just where we have examples of Noon Mushaddad, we want slightly more of a ghunna. So, لِتُخْرِجَ النَّاسَ, and also إِلَى النُّورِ. So in both of those places, we want more emphasis on the shadda, and also we want more of a ghunna sound produced. So that's good, she corrected herself. When we are starting this verse, this alif over here is going to take a fatha stroke, so this will be Allahi. There's just one question. If there is a fatha and dhamma, then the sound will be thick and only kasra will be thin. So yes, L218, this is specific, remember, to the word Allah. So if it is a kasra coming before, then the lam will be thin. If it's a fatha or a dhamma coming before, then it's going to be thick. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Here Rasulillahi. Over here Yarjullaha, because it's dhamma, and over here wa dhakarullaha, because it's fatha. So fatha and dhamma thick, kasra thin. So it's good she tried to make a pause on the tanween, because this is going to be a light nasal sound with the tanween followed by the letter sheen. Just on the dhal, again, because we are looking to implement the more advanced rules, we want to make that differentiation between za and dhal. So this will be adhabin rather than azabin. Adhabin shadid. Adhabin shadid. So again, just making that subtle difference between ha and the softer ha. So يستحبون الحياة الدنيا. And also with our letter ain, we want to differentiate that with our alif sound a little bit. So على الآخرة. Over here we have again our example of noon sakin, and because it is followed by the letter sin, there's going to be a light nasal sound. An sabilillahi. So again, ain, iwaja. It is a little bit of a tricky letter to articulate, but with lots of practice it should be achievable. So iwaja. So over here, we want the ra to be thick, even though it's carrying a sukoon before the stroke is carrying the fatha. So if we very quickly just go back to our explanation regarding ra, that the thickness is also going to be applied to a quiescent ra. So that's a ra which carries sukoon if it is preceded with a fatha, dhamma, or an alif with or without a vowel mark. So basically, even though it is a ra sakin over here, because it's preceded by a fatha, this is going to be thick. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا. So again, we have lam, which has got a dhamma stroke. So according to our lam al-jalala rule, this is going to be a thick lam. So this will be فَيُضِلُّ اللَّهُ لُلَّهُ. So thick lam in the word Allah. I'm just going to rewind it slightly. Again, subtle points to point out, ayn and ha, وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. So 2 points here. Let me just take away these because these are from the previous recitation. Okay, so the 2 points that I just wanted to draw your attention to is over here with the meme sakin in this case, because it's followed by ba, we are going to pause for 2 seconds. So it will be وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. So we are going to pause in this case on the meme sakin, only because it's followed by ba. And also millahi, so this is kasra preceding lam mushaddad, so this is going to be a thin lam. So we will just stop it here because we have come to the end of the class, and we will continue with this next week inshallah. If I can just request L246, if you could please recite the closing prayer so that we can conclude our session.
Freely was that for my
जैसे कि बस हर
Assalamu
कोई
alaikum.
दोस्त होगा
L246, are you there?
मैं अपना काम करी थी
Okay, let's try somebody else. L225, could you please recite the final prayer? L225, are you there? Assalamu alaikum. Could you please recite the concluding prayer?
اللهم ارحمني بالقرآن العظيم واجعله لي إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة.
The translation, please.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran and make it for me the leader, the light, the guidance and the mercy.
Jazakumullah, thank you very much. And thank you to L217 for managing the mic. Inshallah, next week's session, someone else will be give the opportunity to act as the co-host. So Jazakumullah, and see you next week, inshallah, in our next class, Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.